right, so I did a little bit pre-demo because I want to make sure the system works, but we can start a new case. So now you guys, what do you want to create? Um,
Fifth grader with dyslexia.
so yeah,
Yeah.
okay, let's do that. Okay, so before we do that, so that's the whole, how do we call this? Canvas? The-
Canva. Yeah,
Yeah,
like a schematic, an overall schematic, right? The organizational
yeah,
chart, concept
organization.
map.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
that's the whole system we use this platform to create. So you can say it's a little bit complex, but what we are going to demo here is to interact with the team, and you can say how the team works. Okay, so if we wanna create the exemplary IEP, yeah, exemplary IEP. Do you guys want to use specific information or anonymous student data?
Yeah, well, that's the power of this system. I mean, to our audience, this is a prototype, and we are kind of showing you as we're moving with this model. But the the really significant part of using this model is when you're going to interact with any AI, you definitely want to keep student data anonymous, to initially develop those IEPs for sure. This can be extremely beneficial for supporting you in developing and creating those IEPs. But as far as like personalizing it with the student information, you would have to keep that on your school district, system. You could download the IEP information and kind of put it into, your own format, but you definitely would want to keep it anonymous.
Yeah, yeah, that's very important because we're talking about data privacy, right? So that's the most important thing we need to address before we use any system, any system. So, but here, yeah, okay. So if we don't want to use any specific student, anonymous student data, we can just have this exemplar IEP, right? So the system can do that, providing exemplar IEP. So in that way, educators can follow the step-by-step creation process. Okay, let's see what will happen. It will take some time. We talked about this before, right? Okay, as we can see, the case manager is grading us and is working already. As we can see here, the case manager routed the task to the PLAAFP writer. So PLAAFP writer created the statement, but still working. So the button is red. So the system is still working. Now it stopped. Okay, so that's a statement. And we have three very specific components, right? So as a team, so we discussed about, so according to IDEI requirements, we need to have those three areas in the PLAAFP statement.
So the important part is we kind of just did a generic basic prompt,
Yeah.
but you as an educator could put in as much information as you wanted to, into the system initially. Like we just kind of did a generic, of course, making sure that personal details are removed. But if, it's, you can pretty much put in anything as far as the prompt goes.
I also want to highlight the differentiation, like different part, like different characteristic of the system, like evaluating the output. So as a research team, we try to gather some criteria for evaluating the IP and then try to incorporate it into the system so the agent can do evaluation for each output. So I think this is the strongest point of this program.
Yeah. So yeah, so we have this evaluation report, which the PLAAFP evaluator did, right? So because I think how many rubrics did we create? I think three, right?
Three, I think,
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. So the research team created three rubrics. So this is one of them. So we wanted the agent to evaluate the output first, but I think I agree with both of you. It's very important for us as a user or educator to make sure all those information are accurate. But this is just one way to show the user we have different domains we want to evaluate the statement or the output here. So that's why as we mentioned, the keep human in the loop that we mentioned, right? Haidee talked about. So here as you can see, the system stopped, the agent team stopped. So we want to evaluate those outcomes. Okay, what do you think? Do we want to continue or do we want to revise? And so here, sorry. So here, I know that's a lot of information. So that's another way we want to improve, right? So the system now has lots of information, probably with the output doesn't look as perfect as we want. But here, so I think the agent evaluate different criteria and does provide suggestion here. So that's what I like about this, right? So what do you think? Do we want
Yeah, I mean, we can move on, but I just want to highlight that human input will impact on this
Yes.
stage, so it
Okay.
should be all right, right?
Do we want to try to see how that goes? Maybe put suggestion here.
Yeah, that will work.
Yeah, so the one suggestion is include information on accommodation and modification. Educators will know whether we have those information before, right? Okay, so let me try. Okay, thank you. We want to be nice to this agent because they work hard, right?
Right.
Please, let's see. Please include information on accommodation. Correct. Okay. Still working. Case manager is working. Okay, and we know it's still working, but we have the output already, right? Okay. Here, the writer created a new one and awesome. Here, I think
I
the
like
writer,
that, like the highlighted part.
highlight they added. So I think that's awesome. See,
Yeah.
every time we as a team interact with the system, we just get so excited. Yeah, so I think that's a similar structure as we had before. The only difference is it highlights this part, right? The suggested improvement. Okay, and the evaluation outcome will come up one more time, and you can just do this multiple times until you are happy with the output. Okay, let's move on. What do we want to do?
We can move on to goal.
Yeah. IEP goal. Let's see. I think
So like, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say IEP goal is more fun. It's I don't know, more funner. we have different components for the IEP goal. So Haidee, go on.
Oh no, I was just saying that I just really, with the other programs that I've seen with developing IEPs, it's just,
Yeah.
automatic. And there isn't this ability to, let's look at PLAAFP. Okay. And then we can input this into the system, get more information. And then the educator can, take in the perspectives of the IEP team and then input that back into the system and get that back. And it's just like the constant kind of movement where the educator, the humans are a part of this.
Yeah.
It's not just AI is generating content and that's it. And I really think that this is powerful for helping to keep humans in the loop.
Yeah. The whole process gives us time to think about, right? To be critical of the content generated by the system. But here, yeah, there we go. So we have different goals, but let's go back here to your point, Haidee. See, so case manager is just a show their reasoning process as well. So I understand what you are looking for, blah blah blah. But so to your point, Haidee, if the case manager have more information after the IP meeting, right? And then so we can go back to the PLAAFP statement one more time to say, okay, so please revise the PLAAFP statement for this student. So I think that's why the system is more flexible in terms compared to other ones. But let's look at the output. So here, so here I think you and Haidee worked on getting together all those information about the IEP goal, right? So do you want to describe a little bit why our system is much better in terms of structure each IEP goal?
So I just want to highlight the criteria again for the evaluation. So we
Mhm.
really wanted to make sure the goals presented on this system are like a high quality. So if you go down like after the goal part, you will be able to see the criteria, like the evaluation
Okay.
criteria, and then like whether it like the goal met the criteria or not. So educators can check whether the goals they created for the students is high quality and then meet all those SMART goal like like how do I say it, like evaluation criteria, and
Mhm.
see like what kind of progress monitoring should be done based
Mhm.
on each goal, and like that all those goals are like a strengths based or not, like those
Mhm.
all those evaluation criteria could be helpful for educators to review their own like and reflect their
Yeah.
own IEP
Yeah.
goals for the students they are targeting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So how many criteria we have here? We have 10. That's a lot, right? But
Mhm.
it should be because IEP, the goals creation is very complex. So we need to have different domains to make sure the goals meet those standards. So yes,
Right, right.
I agree with your like your highlight here on the evaluation. Anything else? Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back here. One other thing. Oh, Haidee, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna I guess the citation.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's very important. But before that, so here, so I think it's very important for us to show the structure of the IP goal. So I think we have 3 IP goals. So what we prompt the system here is follow the step-by-step procedure that we designed for the system, right? So first, we want the agent to identify student need from the PLAAFP statement. So the first step. And the second step we prompt the agent to do is to identify the standards. That's what we were talking about, the tool usage, right? So this agent use the standard based database. So identify, okay, Wyoming again. So Wyoming rating standard here. And then we want the agent to analyze, to conduct the needs assessment, not needs assessment, gap assessment, right? Between student current level and they desire the level, and then follow the IEP SMART goal format and consider the progress measure monitoring or measures, and then strength-based consideration. So you can say why we have these too many pages on 4 IEP goals. That's the reason. We want to show the user. That's all those components we want the agent to show, and we want the user to be able to interact or learn. So yes. Okay, so now let's go to the tool. The Haidee, were you talking about the tool?
Yeah, go ahead, Lee. Yeah.
I think I covered that, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, no, I was mainly referring to the citations and
Oh, citation.
with the literature. Yes.
Okay. I guess, yeah. So that's all those information here and different output. Then if we want to say citation, let's move on to the next one. Do we have anything else to cover for the IP goal?
Not really.
Okay, let's
I
move.
don't think so. I mean, we're kind of doing this on the fly. So,
Yeah.
we're
Okay. Okay, so please create, and another thing to address this, because still they're agent, right? So they're not human being. You want to be specific what you want. So you want to convey your intention. So here we want to say, please create SDI and, what's another one? Oh, set?
SAS.
Yeah, okay. Suggestion. So this way, the agent, the case manager will, um, route the specific task to the specific team if you put all those like terms there, right? So that's another thing, if you were to interact with the system. Whew, we cover a lot.
We did. I hope it makes sense. It's very complex system, but
Yeah.
it's also there's a lot of potential engagement,
Yes.
with the human and the implications. I guess we should talk about the implications for teacher education.
Mhm.
Yeah, we should definitely should. I think this is a final, the last part, right? So this part actually is more complex than the PLAAFP statement and IEP goal. As you can see, the team is still working because I think we designed two tools to each agent, SDI agent and SAS agent, because we separate the database. So one database includes evidence-based practices across domain like mathematics, literacy, social emotional. We gather all those evidence-based practice document from either the validated website or the national centers, right? Like National Center on Intensive Instruction, IES, WWC, so all those documents are validated. So that, they're still working. Come on, don't give me
It's a
too much work.
complicated one,
Yes,
you know.
complicated one. So that's why, yes, it's still running. Good.
Mhm.
So that's one database. Another database is for the SAS agent, because I think we include many documents, just focus on accommodation modification. Yeah.
Well, can you talk about that a little more with the model, Ling, like how you, well, how those evidence-based, literature-based websites and practices were put into the model explicitly to guide how the AI functions and where it's pulling resources from. Because I think that's really an important part of this model too, because like you were saying earlier, if you just use ChatGPT, it's not necessarily going to pull from those resources. So I think that's an important aspect of this program.
Yeah, since this agent team is still working, maybe, I don't know. So I think we can look at this part from both sides. I mean, from technical side. So maybe in audience, if people are familiar with this term, RAG model. Oh, if I remember the full name, RAG model. What's the full name? Yes, I have okay, so retrieval augmented generation model. So that's a prompt engineering technique that you can use, meaning you can assign the agent to go to specific website or go to databases that you created and that you want the agent to go to retrieve specific relevant information from the database. So that's from very simplified technical perspective. But from the our special education perspective or education perspective, right? Oh, there we go. So that's why it takes so much time. So well, we can talk about that. But for for us educator to create this specially designed instruction, right? We want to make sure those are evidence-based or research-based, right? So that's why we don't want the agent to go to any website to retrieve those information. So that's very important for us to know. And also we want to say, okay, so for those two agents, right? So we have created databases, but because the database have too many documents there, so for each databases we put so many, I don't even remember. So that's why you can say this agent, SDI generator. So this shows the agent literally went to the database to retrieve those information. So it shows here. And it can show you the specific information that the agent retrieved from the database. I'm still making sense of all of those, but I think at least it can show the validated sources.
And I think in this case, the reason that it took so long and so many is because we were so vague. We didn't give enough descriptions of the student, right, and their particular learning needs. So it's just pulled from like everything, you know, whereas it wouldn't be the case if you had more detailed information on a student's particular needs.
Yeah, that's very important to cover. And here, so iteration, because the agent will kept searching for the most relevant information. So that's why this part is most complex part. But I think in our future evaluate or fully developing the fully functional system, we need to address this part. But so far, this prototype, and we have zero fun. I want to highlight that.
Yeah.
So that's why, yeah, we can just have in the future. So there we go. So outcome is great. So here is the output generated by this team, even though they took their sweet time, but we love them. So I think how many suggestions we have here? About 3 for SDI, right? And as a team, we also want the agent not only just to give us 1 or 2 sentences, right, about this suggestion. We want more information. First, we want a citation. That's what Haidee, you want to talk about, right? The citation here. And also the references list at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all ties in so that, this actually is reporting explicitly where these practices are coming from. And that is so important for us, and for educators. Like, we need to know, what research practices, show that this, particular instructional practice is going to be beneficial for a student. And the educators themselves that interact with this program can see that, like, where this is coming from. They can learn about that. And then, it also allows us to update the system with new evidence practices. And it can just kind of be this living system where educators actually have resources to where information is coming from. And we're not just relying upon AI to just blanketly, generally give us information and we don't know where it's coming from. And so that's very important for us.
Yes. Yeah, so I think that's very important. And also we have a little bit information about, okay, how can we implement those strategy, right? So that's another area for the future research, because I think we do want to, we do have a few steps, but I think in the future, we want to identify educators' needs or school districts' needs in terms of how they want to structure the output, right? So how those output can meet their professional learning needs or school district's requirements. So that's why the agent can be flexible or can be redesigned without design the whole system, because each individual agent works independently in a way. We can change a specific part to that agent that won't impact the whole system. Yeah, so that's why it's quite flexible. Yeah, so the different suggestion here and the SAS as well. The follow the similar suggestion or the output. And then so we want the agent to have the reference, even though it's not APA, sorry. It's not APA, but at least I think we want to have this because we want a user to double check those citation, right? And again, agent team may still hallucinate. So we're not saying the system is perfect and there is no problem at all. So that's another way. We still want to keep the human judgment or human evaluation in the loop. Double check the references and double check the information is accurate. Yeah. And again, so I think that's what Sohyun highlight, right? So evaluation. So for each team, we have evaluation output. And as a human user, we want to evaluate as well, not only depending on the agent evaluation.
Exactly. Because whenever we develop IEP document, we just wanted to make sure we met all those criteria correctly. And upper level, they also review the IEPs educators developed. So I think it's really important to look at those evaluation part and then see if the outcome is correct and then reliable.
So I'm not sure where we are on time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how long we've been talking.
We forgot about our time because it's so engaging. It's just okay.
Right.
But yes, I think before I forget, so another component I think is very important to highlight here. We didn't put, we know those SDI and SS suggestions, we need a whole team and any component, any information created here by the system, right? The IEP team, human team need to evaluate in the IEP meeting or whenever, right, need to evaluate the accuracy of the information. It's not like the system created the whole document. Go ahead, use this information in the document. No, it's not our intention. So that's why we have this all those functions we did talk about here. So in terms of the SDI and SS suggestions, we know we need to, as a team, we need to decide the duration, frequency, period based on student needs, right? But we don't want a system to make the decision. We want the IEP human team to make the decision during the IEP meeting. So I think it's very important to highlight its collaboration between the IEP agent team. Also, the collaboration between agent team and the human team to ensure the accuracy of the document.
Right.
Anything that we might have missed?
If I were a special education teacher, I will definitely use that tool for IP development.
Yeah, I shared with my students. I demo in my classroom as well. So they were just okay. I wish I could use this in our school district. So that's why we have a lot of work to do, team. So I think we have lots of future studies. So first, probably collaborate with a different stakeholder group, right? So like the state level have their own or different states. Like currently we are at different 3 states, right? So even though IEP, IDEA have a similar requirements, probably Texas will have different requirements. Kansas, Wyoming have different requirements. So I think we are planning to conduct studies with our educators or here. So I think I'm working with colleagues to talk about whether we can identify some specific needs from special education directors from their perspective, right? So how they want the output, how they want their teachers to learn from the tool. So that's one part. And I think usability, user experiences, both you are thinking about doing research with your either pre-service teacher or in-service teacher. Do you want to share that part?
Yeah, I'm trying, well, you know, as anything, it's an idea trajectory and kind of working on an initiative to use this tool with actually practicing special educators and get their feedback on the tool so that we can kind of evaluate it and make it better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I also have a similar plan. So I'm thinking of incorporating this tool to IP development course. So the students, like actually teachers in the field, because we have a like an apprenticeship program. So teachers can learn about how to develop IP properly and then reflect their own practices using the evaluation tool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I think we have a lot of work to do.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's it. So we just yeah, I think that we yeah, it's great. I had a great time talking about this project, talking with my colleagues, friends here. And if audience, if you have any questions or just reach out to us or reach out to Siddle. So I'm pretty sure Siddle can coordinate some more conversation about this project. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all. Bye. Have a good day.